Up talking about just my opinion on business today. You know, if you are a business owner well, I'm going to leave it with owners today. And managers sometimes end up wandering because they do not have the leadership that they need. Leadership versus micromanaging or expectations that they do not follow, just naturally pushed onto managers and employees, is the owner's responsibility. The owners need to be involved, and they need to understand the atmosphere, the attitude of all their employees. You can bring in a general manager, you can bring in a CFO, CEO, COO, whatever you want to call them. But if there is not a plan laid out and you do not stay the course with that plan, I guarantee you it is going to fail. It's just going to. Your company will continue to flounder and continue to wander aimlessly if you are not controlling the helm. You cannot put your business on autopilot while you tend to multiple locations, multiple issues, thinking that your GM, whatever, is going to handle it all and it's going to run smooth. I don't think it would take much for you to wander through your stores and wander through and talking to people to feel the attitude that you see. Or just have people that are not known to be associated with you to go in and secret shop your stores to understand the attitude of what's going on and the attitude of the leadership that each place has. See, when I was doing what I was doing in the retail sector, part of my problem might have been that I wasn't able to keep my mouth shut talking to the owner, but I was the manager. I was responsible for my department. I was responsible for the numbers. And when I saw stuff wrong in other departments, I would talk about it, but nobody wanted to talk about those things. See, nobody wants to talk about the negative of what's going on, or the cancers that are involved, or the black air that is filling the environment, making black clouds in the environment. And most owners don't want to hear that negative about, well, this department is that or this department. No, we're not going to talk about that. You worry about it affects our area. So in sales, parts and service, how they interact affects sales. Just like how sales interacts affects parts and service. If you're not recommending those departments while you're in sales, you're not helping, you're not making it better. Same way if you're in parts or service and you're not having people come or recommend your sales department, you're affecting your own side. Just like mechanics doing side work on their own, mechanics working other areas, or parts selling different things to people at a different price than whatever people can get. If you don't stick to those guns and you stick to your boundaries, you are going to have issues. Just like if you have outstanding employees that have been by your side through thick and thin, and you're not willing to step up the game to keep them, especially in this environment, you will lose them. They will walk away. It's not that hard to find a good paying job anymore if you're dedicated, got a good work ethic, and you are smart and can do things. It's just not. It's just not that hard. And it's a lot harder to keep good employees this day and age than it was 10 years ago. And a lot of it has to do with ownership's mentality in their environment. If you think you are better than all the people that come to work for you, if you think you are smarter and all you're going to do is whip them into shape, or if you're going to crack the whip and everything's going to, and if you walk through and remind them they need to sell. See, salespeople know they have to sell. That's how they get paid. But they also need people to help them to make sure their sales are getting completed and out the door on time, so they are getting paid. Pay structure has to be looked at. 2 years ago, 2020, so 5 years ago, if you were paying on profits, probably paying a lot of money out of your pocket. But now that the environment is back to tight again and back to overloaded, especially in my environment, where I came from, it's not so much here in the turn signal world, because we're all very competitive when you price things out. But in the retail environment of the power sports industry, when I visit dealers, there is plenty of inventory. When you start to see $4,000, $5,000, $9,000 rebates, you know the environment is full. When you start seeing dealers, and the other thing is freight and setup. When people say that's a fake number, it's not a fake number, okay? It's not. You pay freight for every unit that comes there. Each dealer has to pay to be set up. These aren't readied out of the factory. They don't come just rolling out and you just put it on the lot. So there is costs involved. So that's not a fake number. The only reason people feel it's a fake number is because nobody enforces it. A lot of times a dealer wants to be a number one dealer, so they are going to go through their inventory. So they're going to wipe those things out, move their margins way down to, a lot of these $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 units that you see now in Polaris world or Can-Am world, you're making 3 to 5%. That's all you're making, which isn't a whole lot. If you looked at what you did in the past and somebody said you're worth 3%, you'd be pretty heartbroken. So the dealers are making, so that's where they cut to make people, then all of a sudden it's price, because right now it's price based. But there are also a lot of dealers that have all this stuff on floor plan. They're paying interest on it. So $9,000 rebates, you get to zero. Yeah, it looks like they're fudge numbers forever from 2020. But the power sports world really only made a good amount of money from 2020 to probably 2023. And now you are seeing where dealers are getting overloaded. But you're also seeing the environment in that building. When you thought you had a really good salesperson in 2020, it really didn't take a whole lot of sales experience to sell in 2020. But you have to have leadership. You have to have people that are going to be willing to be your backbone support if things go awry. But as a VP, as a owner, when you're that upper echelon, your employees need to know that you care. You're not just going into your desk, or if you have a lot of irons in the fire and you're like, well, the general manager will take care of it all. That will happen if your general manager is on board. However, if he's not on board or she's not on board, your business is going to suffer immensely. And there is a thing that is going to go through it, like cancer. Or if you've ever walked into a building and felt that black cloud, it's like a rain cloud over it, and everybody's in that blah mood. What amazes me is the amount of people that when you're looking at projects or you're looking at units or you're looking at whatever it may be, wanting your chimneys cleaned or wanting work done around the house, the amount of people that fail to call you back. Like when we were looking to do our roof on our house, I called 5 businesses just to see if they would. Nobody except for 2 called me back. That's the kind of stuff that you have to stay on top of. That's the kind of stuff that you have to. So then you need to check in as an owner. I don't care how many employees you have. If you have 5, if you have 100, you should know what each employee takes to tick. Is it time off? Is it money? Most of the time, it is not money. Most of the time is that they know that they want to be heard. They want to know that you have their back. They want to know that you're also invested. Yeah, you own the building. You own so a lot of owners say, well, if you don't like it, look at what I've invested. You invested. Well, that's not the point, because most employees don't have that kind of means to do that. However, they do have the means to know how they should be treated. And if you've ever worked for a business that didn't have to give 2 shits about somebody, I've had a few of those jobs. And then the higher ups don't have your back. Instead, they backstab you sometimes or do things to help them out versus you out. Yeah. You become a different viewpoint of people. You lose a lot of respect for those above you. And then all of a sudden things start going sideways. And then they wonder, well, what happened to Jim? What happened to Steve? Where did they go? Oh, that guy stole them. No, he didn't steal them. Your employees aren't getting stolen. Nobody is stealing your employees. You are losing them through your own problems, because you weren't addressing or finding out what needed to be addressed. If you haven't understood that lately, look at government right now. If you disagree with the boss, instead of trying to change things, they're just firing them. That's not how things work. You cannot, just because somebody disagrees with how your business, you need to at least listen and see if it is something that you need to change. Or if it's something that, yep, you're right, they are being absolutely disrespectful to my business and they need to go. However, if it is just as simple because they will not follow directly your thoughts and ambitions, it's probably a valuable person to have, though, because they are seeing things that you are not seeing. Just my thoughts. Again, you're listening to the mop. That's my opinion. So, with that said, have a great weekend. It's going to be a great weekend. Labor Day weekend, always a good weekend to get together, have things going on. But the weather here in southwest Wisconsin is supposed to be absolutely gorgeous. I think we'll be going to a car show tomorrow. Listening to some live music and things tomorrow. And yeah, but again, my opinion, that's how it is. But I feel a lot of businesses are not being successful right now, and they're struggling because they are stuck in their ways. They do not want to adapt or hear criticism. They are just going to say, this is how it's going to be. This is where we're at. If you don't like it, tough shit. And right now, that attitude isn't going to work when how many people are looking for good, solid workers. You need to at least hear and take time to evaluate what's going on in your businesses. That's where it is. That's my thoughts. If you disagree with it, agree with it, feel free to message me. I'll look through any message. I don't care. I like to hear both positive and negative. But if you are not concerned about your employees, or if you're feeling that This is how it's going to be. Tough shit, whether you like it or not. I guarantee you those employees, A, are going to cause cancer or black clouds. And no matter how hard they try, it is going to be portrayed onto the customers that walk through your door. And that's whether you're a restaurant, you're a power sports dealership, you're a plumbing business, whatever. Your employees are going to relay those loud and clear. Because you'll see it on their face, you'll see it on their answers. If they're not bought in, you will know. So, everybody have a great weekend. I will be back Tuesday morning because we are all swamped till through Labor Day. I'll give you a Labor Day response. Kids are back to school on Monday. I know they've started school other places as well. But feel free to comment. I appreciate anybody that takes the time to comment on this. And you guys all have a great day. And as always, take time to bless somebody's day today.